Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. I hope you're having a fantastic, phenomenal day. Taking a look here at Bitcoin. We're looking at scenario number 2 here, essentially. Instead of rejecting off this descending trend line, we saw it break clean through there. In fact, you saw a pretty strong candle to push through that level. And of course, we are retesting that $68,000 resistance, or had just done that roughly an hour or two ago. So again, this is awesome stuff, but I'm also getting some head and shoulders vibes too, and I'll go ahead and talk about that here in a minute as well. But the truth is, Bitcoin is coming up to a resistance, and generally speaking, if you're going to consider a long, you usually want to wait for that level to be broken first, or at the very least retrace to a local support, which hypothetically should be 67,000. Bitcoin's been playing some funny games in this $66,000, $67,000, $68,000 range. Every time it hits these levels, it bounces almost perfectly, but then instead of using it as a resistance, it turns into a support. It's a bit of a mess, honestly. But the truth is, majority of the anticipations have been fairly accurate in the sense of just making sure we were waiting and we're being patient and waiting for that confirmation. So again, that's really what's been the biggest benefit here for us. And not being a late short or a late long either. That's also a big part of it too. So if you could, please just hit the like button, comment below. I want to say thank you to whoever watched my video from last night. We got over 1,000 views and like almost 200 likes. That's a pretty darn good ratio. So thank you so much again for that. Deeply appreciate it. And of course, I always hope you find value and benefit here. So let's take a look at liquidation levels in the top left-hand corner. This is essentially the last 7 days. We zoom in a little bit, we can see a lot of liquidation at about 70,000, just under. Okay. What that basically just means is that people have a lot of stop losses or liquidation events that could occur if we hit that level. And the reason why it's relevant and good to know now is that hey, people are betting on the price going down. That's really what it boils down to. Not a lot of longs in the last couple of days here, if you will. I mean, they're still there, don't get me wrong. It's just smaller concentrations are a lot less prevalent than the upside. So when we know that and we see that, it helps us understand we're coming up to a key level resistance, which we can see 68,000. Each one of these bars is between 1.5 to 2 billion. So I can't add that all up that quickly, but it's quite a lot. I'll go ahead and summarize that on our playout chart on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. So if you're not familiar, I do provide them. It looks just like this here, right? Hypothetical scenarios of what the coins are looking like and liquidation levels and events there. Okay, so let's take a quick look at the liquidation delta. It is starting to subside. This is actually very good. It does tell us we still have more selling pressure than buying pressure at this point, but the truth is, as this delta starts to come down, we're probably closer to about the 2 billion mark. That's implying that longs have a little bit more strength or a little bit more potential for continuation. Okay, so again, that's generally a good favorable sign for anyone considering the upside. But once again, taking a long into a key level resistance doesn't make a ton of sense. Again, that's just me personally. I think breakout traders are not really all that successful, specifically more so in crypto, but also very much true and in the sense that it's kind of more of a traditional market strategy. Okay, the reason I say that is just because there's such volatility, such candle wicks and stuff that breakout traders usually get destroyed because they're using too high a leverage. So low leverage breakout traders, maybe, but unfortunately most people that watch crypto analysis videos like this are probably thinking that 20x leverage is a baseline, which it should be like an extreme worst case scenario. Anyways, what I'm looking at here is open interest. We can see 67,500 as that massive amount of open interest here locally, and then prior to that 68K. So we have a lot of positions open between 67.5 and 68,000. Makes sense as to why the price is kind of hanging out right here. Okay, kind of trying to figure out what to do next. We do have our point of control here, just to touch on this before we jump into the daily time frame. We can see our local point of control at about 67,000. Upwards of 67,400. And I apologize in advance. The $65, $66, and $67,000 range is difficult for me to enunciate correctly. And some folks will also say or comment down below too that I speak too fast. And my comment to that is that I can't really control that in some cases. Well, I guess I could. I have to be cognizant of that. It's a lot easier for you to hit that little, I think you can adjust the action on the videos, and you can slow it down if you want to. Those are usually just foreigners, of course, not like that's a problem, just generally speaking. I think I speak fairly normal, but I could be wrong. I know I get pretty excited about the chart sometimes, so apologize in advance. All right, anyways, we're not here for that. What we are here for is good analysis, and the whole point of me wanting to look at the daily time frame here, if you're not familiar, is just to kind of recognize the macro, okay? So truth is, we didn't break below the 20-day SMA. It's kind of hard to see. Right here, it's this green line here, running a concurrent with this orange line. Basically, that's like a macro trend line. So when I mentioned yesterday, until we break below that, we're not bearish on this coin. right? And you can still have a lot of success going up and or down in the meantime. So please recognize if I ever say that short-term bearish, short-term bullish, it really just implies that, you know, the overall trend is up and we could see the price go down between now and then, right? If I'm staying at this point, though, honestly, with a strong recovery, we got a bullish engulfing candle. Yesterday, we had a hammered type of doji candle. Even though it closed on the red, it's still a good sign. There's a lot of reasons why the price is probably more likely to go up than down. Again, we're just going to kind of try to confirm a few factors and make sure, but the daily time frame is still looking quite positive. Even though stochastic is swinging down, that's normal, kind of just telling us the momentum has shifted. We know that. The RSI and money flow index are kind of just hanging out there in that little sweet spot. Nothing really too telling on this time frame, truthfully. You can see smaller time frames letting us know different stories, but at this point we can see MACD is, even though it's diverging, it's trying to plateau and potentially could see a bounce from here. So I'm more like neutral to bullish on the daily time frame. Okay, that's kind of what we're looking at there, right? So just the truth is, being above that ascending trend line, specifically over the 20-day SMA, leads me to believe that we have more propensity to go up than down. Once again, a lot can change. You can see how crazy and dramatic the price action has been. Like really, to drop 67,000 to run all the way down to low 65 and to be back up to 68K in less than 24 hours later, that is nonsense, folks. That is absolutely outrageous, and it's just kind of the way that crypto goes. So all the more reason why low leverage is king, so you don't get absolutely demolished when stuff like that happens. So taking a look here at liquidation levels, just to quickly clarify, again, there's still a lot of liquidation on the downside. We know that, and there's just as much to the upside too. So the truth is, between now and 70,000, there's a solid chance we'll probably see a candle wake up or some kind of attempt to break through that level. Do I think we're going to see 70,000 plus today or tomorrow? Probably not. I think we still need to consolidate at higher price points to get there. But at this point, if we look at the 4-hour time frame, we have converged on the MACD. That's a MACD convergence. We can see also RSI is up over 50, which is something we haven't seen in a few days here. We've been under the RSI at that level for the last 3 days when we dropped down below. Having said that, the money flow index is increasing. It's trailing behind. I prefer it to be above. It's still a positive sign showing we got money flowing into the coin, which is generally favorable. And then of course our trend strength indicator is up over 0 as well. So we've got a lot of complementing factors here letting us know we're in decent shape. Now again, I want to emphasize the word decent because we see here, we got the 50-day SMA kind of holding the price action in place for the moment. Keep in mind it's not a resistance level. I would be very, very careful saying that the price rejected off of the specific simple moving average is not really a resistance level, just kind of a general trend, okay? Right now, we're still trending below that 50-day SMA, letting us know that it's mildly bearish, okay? And again, everything else is probably more positive, more bullish. So the truth is, the 4-hour time frame still looks a lot better than it did before. And that positivity is letting us know that we're probably going to be able to see the price action go higher here, right? It just kind of, a lot of signs are kind of pointing up at this point. Again, we're above all moving averages minus the 50, so once more, that's generally favorable, okay? So again, don't put too much emphasis on one simple moving average. It's just helpful to be above or below all of them at any given time. And once you have that official confirmation, then I think the likelihood of continuation from there is greater. So taking a look here, let's go ahead and quickly touch on this here and just recognize the overall trend here is definitely good. This is a nice pattern I like to see when the price kind of performs in a staircase. So we're probably more likely to see the price go higher than lower here at this point. And generally speaking, every time the price goes up, it comes back down to test its next key level or the local high, right? You see that? So if we take a look here, we can see this local high here too. The price action should bounce and pivot off 67.5. In fact, if I recall correctly, that was a resistance level for us yesterday based on smaller time frame fib levels. So at this point, what we can recognize here is that it feels like Bitcoin is consolidating at its support / resistance, that little zone of 67.5 to 68K, and more likely to increase. Again, that's reaffirmed here with this open interest locally at 67.5, and once again, the previous resistance at 68,000. So all this combined, and the fact that we have a decent chunk of liquidation still left to the upside, it makes more sense for Bitcoin to run up than down. Now, even though I don't love taking a trade into a key level resistance, while this resistance is present and still a very real thing, we have a lot of contributing factors allowing us to consider the fact the price is probably more likely to increase than decrease. So again, very favorable situation here. If we take a look at the Ichimoku Cloud, this is also just icing on the cake. It's a little easier to see when I turn off a few of these other indicators. But if you can see, We are now above the cloud. We have been for about 4 hours. That's usually the baseline for me to want to take a long position, having that breakout, so to speak. Okay, and again, that's essentially giving us confirmation that we've broken above a descending trend, right? So this upper lead and lower lead, if you can stay above it, then you're usually in pretty good shape. And if you can kind of see here previously, anytime the price action tested it to the downside, it got rejected, right? So that's generally what it's supposed to do. So at this point, being above that level implies that the price action will probably bounce, maybe even come as low as 67,000, but a distinct probability of the price going higher than lower from here at this point. Okay, so that's usually a buy sign or a buy signal, and that in combination with the lagging span, bring free and clear, conversion line over the baseline, we have like 9 out of 10 reasons to consider a long versus a short at this point for Bitcoin. So to me, a consideration for long seems like 67.5 would be a decent consideration. Maybe a secondary entry at 67,000 with a take profit just above the 68K range here, depending on how you decide you want to average in or average out of your position. So things are looking quite favorable. The last thing I want to point out too, and this is just, I'm not trying to be, trying to throw a shadow on the scenario here, but and this is not definitive by any stretch. However, it does look like there is somewhat of a head and shoulders pattern forming here, and a lot of times it can rake down from here. So keep in mind if you do end up taking a long, invalidation would probably be a closure down somewhere below 67,000 if you consider a long. Once more, I'll post our playout chart on Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, and I'll send a trade alert also through our private Discord. If you're not familiar with that, I do have a private trading academy community and signals group, link down below, check that out. And again, just kind of give you some insight on what I'm thinking here. But at this point, I'm leaning a little bit more towards the price going up than down, but it would make sense to retrace at 67.5, 67K first before the next leg up. I think this scenario is still very probable. Okay. All right, folks, we'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much again for watching. Oh, last but not least, I get tons of questions on this. Bitunix bonuses are paid out within 24 hours. If you have any trouble, you can reach out to them directly through our Discord. We actually have an admin over there from there. Either way, deposit bonus rewards, super easy, super awesome. Make sure you take advantage of this here. Majority, I'm speaking to my community members, you've already used my link to register in the past, so you're automatically eligible for this. Check it out. All right, folks, have a good rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you soon. Take care.